Hollywood is still a mess even after the strikes last year. Everyone was supposed to return to work and everything was supposed to be better, but it's not. It's even worse. The hangover of it, as they say everywhere, has been very brutal and very exhausting for everyone involved in Hollywood, other than the producers. As Deadline reported in September, accelerated contraction and reeled-in budgets made for a bumpy re-entry into the TV marketplace post-strike. Things only got worse by November when tens of thousands of SAG-AFTRA members started looking for jobs after the Actors Union reached an agreement with the studios. Similarly, writers have been out looking for work as well, and for so long, there's nothing out there. Things are really going bad, and let's talk about it. Welcome back to a Screenwriter's Secret Diary podcast, where we basically pull back the curtain on Hollywood's glitz and glamour and reveal the reality and the darkness of it all. I literally share the truth of what's really going on in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, every single week, so make sure to subscribe and follow this podcast. So the strikes are over, but Hollywood isn't back to normal. Why is that? And as a writer, filmmaker, actor, or an aspiring artist in Hollywood, what can you do about this? At the end of this video, I'm gonna share exactly why this might be a good thing for those of you who wanna break into Hollywood, and I'm gonna share how you can turn this into an opportunity, so stick around. So everyone expected Hollywood to bounce back once the writers and actors agreed to these new contracts, right? But the reality has been quite different. Accelerated contraction, as they call it, reeled-in budgets, and sweeping cost-cutting measures have made this rocky return to normal, but there is no normal. There were canceled TV shows, and it kept continuing to cancel and cancel and cancel. Traditional media companies, along with these streaming platforms, are cutting costs brutally without a care in the world about the artists and real workers in the film industry. Some of these TV shows had really high budgets, but now they come crushing down, resulting in not many green lights for newer projects. Many streaming series that were intended for 2024 have been pushed to 2025. And also some blockbusters, as we said in one of the latest episodes, they have also been pushed to 2025. So it's not just TV, it's also movies and blockbuster movies and movie theaters that are struggling as well. The non-existent 2024 pilot season is a very big issue. A decade ago, it says here in this article, there would be around 100 broadcast pilot casting at this time of year. This year, we have a total of 3, all at NBC. These pilots provided lifelines for hundreds of actors, helping them qualify for union health insurance. That's very important. It's crazy to read all of this happening right after the actors and writers strike last year. People were really hopeful that things would change for the better. But here we are. Hollywood was definitely supposed to get back to work right after striking writers and actors agreed to new contracts. That's what everybody told. Studios would hire, there would be budget, sound stages would be filled, investors would invest, do their thing. Cameras would roll, but nope, that's not the case. As far as I see in these articles, they keep calling it the hangover from the strikes and the COVID, and I personally don't think so. I think it's the fact that most of the profits go to the higher ups in studios, so as they get richer, artists get poorer. We are seeing the downfall of a system. So the economy is going down. Again, the reason being rich getting richer, poor getting poorer. Let's be honest here. We see these higher ups, like millionaires, talking about how bad it is out there. And no. What? Imagine us, the artists over here. What are you talking about from your private jet, my guy? It's nothing other than greed that's causing the downfall of economy and Hollywood. Okay, before I get crazy over this, let me read this part in the article on Deadline titled Hollywood Contraction, How Writers Are Reacting to Ongoing Industry-Wide Cost Cutting. Life in post-strike Hollywood was definitely a topic of conversation at Sunday's Writers Guild Awards, with former WGA West president David Goodman saying, "The strike is over, the fight goes on," while adding, "As individuals, we are replaceable." Exactly. Good morning. That sentiment has never been more applicable than now, as the ongoing contraction in Hollywood continues to impact how many writers remain out of work since walking off the picket line in September. It's so sad. Imagine walking all those months in a picket line and things still suck. And additionally, I read somewhere that even a project with Tom Hanks attached to it was not sold. And that's just crazy to me, since Hollywood is so big about packaging. Packaging means attaching big names and big stars to a project so that way you can sell it, because producers think it's gonna make money no matter how bad the story can be. That's why we have these bad movies with big stars, because they think the star's name is gonna save the entire thing, you know? It's almost like people will watch it, it's guaranteed. So it's also guaranteed that it'll make money. And additionally, it says here in another article that HBO is under more financial constraints than ever due to the pressure at its parent company Warner Brothers Discovery. They have not only slashed HBO's marketing budget, but are scrutinizing spending on overall deals and new shows. Apple has tried to reset the market's expectations for its film and TV spending, so it's no longer seen as a cash machine. So sad. It's like Apple. Hello, billion-dollar company, I think. Netflix, the biggest driver of spending, hasn't increased its programming budget for a few years now. That's so true, because my friend was actually in Netflix, like working on new shows, and then suddenly they were all out of business. Like post-strike, they thought things were gonna be better. And she wasn't a writer, by the way. She was in the developing side of it, so producing and developing side of it. And suddenly the entire team was out of work because they were no longer doing those new shows. It's crazy. Because look at this. On Forbes, it says Netflix is by far the biggest streaming service worldwide, and in April reported it had almost 270 million paid subscribers across the globe as of the first quarter of 2024, a 16% increase over the same quarter the year before. The company posted a first quarter revenue of $9.37 billion, up 14.8% year over year. Where's the money going? Are you laundering? Anyways, sorry, I'm a bit losing my mind, but I'm gonna get to the good stuff, okay, soon. This was written in July, by the way, literally a few days ago before I'm recording this. Where's this revenue going? Definitely not to actors and not to writers and creators, because we know that even a big show stars on Netflix, they're making sense as a revenue. Where's this money going? If not to artists and actors. It's making people billionaires. It's going towards people with private jets. It's going towards people with multiple mansions. While we can't pay for our grocery, we have to like budget to be able to make it by the end of the month. So the money from everything that you're watching right now on Netflix, on Hulu, on HBO, on whatever, Disney Plus, they are making the CEOs and the bigger people billionaires, while artists are making cents from the revenue. Then this causes a huge wage gap, huge lifestyle gap between two sides of the coin. And then we have this big economic crisis. And who struggles during an economic crisis? Those who got their money stolen by the hoarders. That's exactly what we're seeing in the world and in Hollywood right now. Like, let's be for real here. I've never seen anyone who made this type of a video on this platform really talk about this. They mostly talk about, like, rant about how Hollywood and blah, 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 blah. But hey, the real reason is this. They really avoid addressing the elephant in the room, Stop blaming the economy. Stop saying they can't make TV shows. They can't make movies. Please, guys. They have billions. They can surely throw some million towards one movie and make it with newer stars, newer actors, newer writers, and that they can pay, less than they would pay, let's say, Scarlett Johansson, right? Let's be for real here. Or Nicolas Cage. Like, seriously, I don't know what else to say here. This is what it is. It's so easy for these multi-millionaire or billionaire CEOs of studios and blah, blah, blah to take on a show and fully fund it. Stop saying these companies are struggling. They are not struggling. It's so funny to me. Like, no, they're not struggling. They'd rather spend their money on their 5th private jet than making a fucking movie that's actually meaningful. I'm so tired of reading these articles that don't even get deeper into this issue. Like, what? On the surface level, they're just like, oh yeah, this is happening. They can't make money. Anyways, before we get too lost, these issues are also hurting smaller production companies. Several visual effects companies had to raise outside capital to service their debt and cover their costs during the downturn. So it's Ellen DeGeneres all over again. How she dumped her workers, her loyal workers, during COVID lockdown and hired non-union, low-paid ones just to like shoot from home. It's so crazy. Like, that's what happens when you get crazy rich, apparently. Hello? Is there anyone good out there? It's crazy. This happens all the time in Hollywood, by the way. I hear a lot of ex-Paramount producers and ex-whatever producers. They fuck people over money because they don't want to pay, but in the meantime they have millions in a bank. What, are you crazy? Like, you can't pay for someone's service. It's insane to me, but that's exactly what's happening. It's not because these big companies are struggling. Let's stop saying that. Their company heads are just getting too rich to sustain the company or care about the company. Maybe they don't care about the company. They only care about what's going to make them money. And when something doesn't make money, they're just like, yeah, whatever. Doesn't make money is not even like, they do make money. I have this episode where I analyze every single box office failure that happened in 2024. None of them ever suffered from not making enough money. They all make a lot of money. People like $37 million, whatever. Then they're like, oh, it didn't make enough money. What? Moving on, I want to talk about my experience and thoughts about how to use this post-strike struggle to your advantage instead of whining, which is what I've been doing, just to explain to you guys what's happening and what's going on. But fuck that. Let's focus on something productive and let's focus on how you can use this as an opportunity rather than I hired a Hollywood writing mentor last week, and she actually opened my eyes to the reality even more. She told me to stop writing TV shows right now and start focusing on writing low-budget, contained feature films. So apparently low-budget movies are more likely to sell. And she also said that being non-WGA is even better and having indie connections is even better because indie industry is working non-stop. I always tell you guys I'm so grateful to be in the indie side of Hollywood right now, especially right now. I'm like, I didn't break in for a reason. I don't know if you believe in universe, but I'm like, oh wow, like someone was watching over me to make sure I didn't get into WGA when I could have. I didn't sell that TV show when I could have. I'm really happy on the indie side because there's always work. There's always someone hiring me for writing their projects. I'm fine. And being paid for my writing services by indie producers and indie production companies who actually give a shit, it feels amazing. It feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm happy about that. And this is happening to me because one, I didn't become WGA when I could have. I had a very crazy like back and forth email like, hey, can I? No, can I? Yes, maybe do this, do that. And it didn't happen. 2, I have so many indie connections in the indie cinema and indie TV show, like web series platforms and YouTube and audio drama show producers. And all of these connections make at least 1 to 2 projects every year, and they contact me for it. So then I'm hired all the time because I have many connections who contact me. I even like sometimes recommend another writer because I can't take on another project. That's really, really good. So I become their go-to writer or go-to script consultant, script doctor, script supervisor. You know, that's very important. Even though it's sad that Hollywood is struggling, I think it gives newer writers and newer filmmakers and actors an opportunity to get in, like get their foot in. Especially people who want to break in, it gives them more opportunities in the indie world of Hollywood right now, which is where it all starts, right? There are so many newer producers or established producers who are tired of Hollywood and they start funding indie projects. Or, you know, they do that because it's their passion and they wake up to the fact that Hollywood is not about passion. It all revolves around like money. They actually pivot towards the indie world. And if you can find those people, you can make yourself a living as a screenwriter, filmmaker, or actor just with the indie world. It is true. Like, you can do this. There are so many people I know who've done this, including myself. Because again, when you look at the studio heads or the executives in Hollywood, it's not their passion, it's their money-making machine. They want to use art to squeeze as much money out of people as possible. I say that all the time, squeeze as much money out of people as possible. That's what's been happening like all the time. So instead of working for those people who literally don't give a shit if you get paid or not, or if your story is really good or not, make connections in the independent side of Hollywood, indie cinema and indie TV world. Write web series, write audio drama shows, star in web series. You know, like I also know people who actually broke in through some web series and it really works out. Like one of them was actually an Emmy-nominated actress because she starred in this Emmy-nominated web series. So build a name for yourself in the indie world. Indie world is waiting for you. Literally, they welcome you with open arms rather than Hollywood, which is like a closed gate. No one can enter. So indie world is where you can grow. It's time for us to make our lucky breaks for ourselves, rather than waiting around for Hollywood to get better. Because let's be honest, it will not get better until they decide to accept the reason why this downfall is really happening. I think there are a lot of things that are fundamentally wrong, not only in Hollywood, but also in society. And it's reflecting each other. You know, it's not like these two things are separated. Everything is tied in each other, and unless we change it fundamentally from the bottom, then nothing will change, unfortunately. And we're now seeing these systems come crushing down, and we see wealthy people trying to hold on to it, and us peasants can't do much other than talking to each other and trying to build communities around, you know, supporting each other and things like that, which is why I started doing this, because I was like, okay, I'm working in the independent side of Hollywood, but do people know they can do this? Or are people depressed because they can't break into Hollywood? Like, it's a blessing. Use that. Literally, it's a blessing. Please stop thinking like, oh, why didn't I get my big break? Fuck it. You don't need it. You don't need it. I swear to God, you don't need it. It's so good over here. You just have to make the right connections. You really just have to make the right connections. I swear. So when I look at, you know, is Hollywood gonna change? Like, if you ask me, I think there are a lot of things that are fundamentally wrong with the way Hollywood works, especially with the studio system. And I think it's coming out now more than ever due to inflation and economic struggles. There needs to be fundamental changes as to how the entertainment industry actually works. But let's be honest again, they won't do that because those fundamental changes will take away their future millions and billions. So no, they won't even consider it. And the writers and actors you listen to who are in union, I'm sorry, but they unfortunately cannot tell you what really is going on. They can't talk openly as I'm doing it here. They have stakes in the game. You know, they're playing a game over here. And I see that a lot in these YouTube videos. I'm so sorry. So come here on this corner of the internet where I will tell you what's going on with no filter because I have no strings attached and I don't give a shit. Let's list some things that needs addressing in Hollywood if anyone wants to hear like, hey. Okay, the studio system is no longer working efficiently. Yes. More transparent and fair budgeting and spending practices, there needs to be something like that. Why are the non-artists earn more money than the actual artists who put so much time, effort, energy, and their entire life sweat? They pour it all into this project and they get cents. Well, you make billions. That doesn't make any sense. But again, nobody is gonna address this, especially people in power. They're not gonna be like, oh, artists need to be paid fairly. We saw it during WGA strike. Like that Disney CEO was like, oh, at the golf club with fellow billionaires, he was like, oh, writers are being over dramatic. Like, we saw it. That's how it is. And then next, better support and development opportunities for independent projects, indie artists who care about art side of filmmaking rather than trying to make millions and billions out of people. They have to start shifting towards indie. And I actually see that a lot. Like, I see there's good side of indie world and then there's bad side of indie world. There are those big producers who come to the indie world and they want to suck money out of people. There's that too. But then there are genuine artists, genuine artist producers who actually like do this and fund indie projects. So you can come across both sides in the indie world. And lastly, we have to focus more on genuine artistic expression rather than commercial success, which I always tell you guys on this podcast. Like, artistic genuine expression is why we all come to this Hollywood world. But then we realize, oh, it's not about that. It's about the money. But I think there's a middle ground that genuine artistic expression and marketing / commercial success can find. And if we can find that, everyone will be happier in Hollywood. Before we end this episode, I want to emphasize that while Hollywood is still in a tough spot, there is hope for those willing to look outside the traditional path. The indie scene is really starting to thrive. We just need a bit more audience for it because I feel like there's a lot of people who just are too attached to these franchises and blah blah blah, and these franchises are used to steal money from your pockets. Harry Potter, like, I go to Universal Park. Okay, I do. So I'm not like trying to demonize this, but it is the truth. Okay, there's a lot of new things that are like Harry Potter, that are like Transformers or whatever the heck is the franchise. There are new ones out there. And if we actually give a shit about the new ones rather than the old ones that are making millions and billions to the wrong people, we can actually fix the world. Thank you for watching if you're on YouTube. Thank you for listening if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Follow, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Liking and sharing this episode with a friend who you think will be interested in this would help me a lot, and continue this discussion in the comments because I read all of them. Let me know your thoughts. If you're interested to learn more about the movie side, like what is going on in the box office, why are movies failing and stuff like that, it's on episode 13. It's called Mega Flops of Hollywood and Why Studios Need to Change. Go check it out because there are some real gem in there. Tell your friends who also have genuine artistic souls to join our community so we can support each other, because that's how this is gonna work. We can't wait around for some billionaire producer to come around, okay? Please stop doing that and come here, join us. Let's do some projects together. Let's strive together, okay? See you next time.